Hey ladies, welcome to module 2 of this crash course to confidence in your relationship and your voice in God. And so today's topic is such a big one that I feel that probably everyone has struggled with at some point or another in their lives. That is this feeling of being unqualified for what God has for you, for certain opportunities that may arise, the overarching feeling of I'm not enough, I'm unqualified, I'm inadequate for the call of God in my life. A, B, and C go down the line, but the whole message here is going to be talking about why it is a good thing that we feel unqualified, because that is when God shines the most through us. And so to start this off, I want to tell you a little story. So I want to take you on a journey of the most profound moment that I had felt, and up until this point in my life, where I had felt utterly unqualified for what God was asking me to do and kind of what He spoke to me through that. So I was driving up to this beautiful, amazing mountain town where we were going to have a women's retreat with a church that I was going to. And basically how this women's retreat would run is, I think it was about 48 hours. And basically there was an opening prayer in the morning where people would come and pray just, over the day and whatever they felt like was on their hearts. Then there would be kind of a morning, afternoon, and evening message. And then all the fun stuff, of course, that goes in between all of those time slots, just the fun kind of camp feeling things that you would do at a women's retreat. And so I had been asked a little bit prior if I would want to lead prayer Saturday morning with another pastor. So there would be two people leading prayer that morning. One was supposed to be me, and one was a pastor that I really looked up to. She is, 60 plus, just has so much wisdom, just has lived so much life, and she's just someone that I had really looked up to. And they had asked me to lead prayer with her. And at this point in my life, I am barely, in my 20s. I've been at that point pursuing a relationship with God, really going after His heart for a couple of years at that point. But I felt so incredibly unqualified. I was terrified. I'm sitting here thinking, you want me to lead prayer to 50 to 100 women alongside this amazing woman of God? Like, why would you choose me? There's so many more people that are more qualified than I am to do this. Why me, God? Why was I asked? And He really led me down this journey, and I was struggling. I had gone to the lake. I was journaling. I was asking God, God, why me? Why did you choose me for this? And one of the really profound things that He had told me was, give me your past so I can give you your future. And at that point, I didn't realize how much of a mindset I had that my past was going to be holding me back from my future. But when He said it, I knew that He was touching a place in my heart that needed to be touched and needed to be healed. And so I just want to encourage you right now, or just anything from the past that feels yuck, that feels weighty, that feels like a regret or a mistake. I just want to encourage you. We can look through the Bible and look at all the people that God used despite of their past. I want to encourage you today that no matter what your past looks like, God can always redeem and always restore and bring you back to the place that He had always intended for you. All it takes is our surrender to Him and our obedience to listening to Him and His voice and His guidance, and He can guide us all the way right back into that original path that He had planned for us. And so I remember having, these prayer times leading up to this time where I was supposed to be leading prayer. And leading prayer is such a vulnerable thing. Anyways, I'm not sure if maybe you've done it or if you haven't done it, but to get up with a microphone and speak your heart and, share what God is sharing with you, it's vulnerable, and it was really scary. And at that time, I hadn't done a ton of public speaking. So just even being in front of a crowd, big or as small as it was going to be, just felt really, really intimidating. And I felt so incredibly unqualified. And so this is the verse that God gave me that I have held on to every single time that there's ever been an instance where He has asked me to step out in faith and say yes in obedience to the calling that He's given me at that point in time. I have held so closely to these few verses here, and I want to share them with you because I hope that they will cling to your spirits and just encourage you every single time that God asks you to step out in faith and do something that feels more than you are capable of doing. So the verses that I'm going to be reading out of, this is an old Bible of mine, but this is actually the Bible that I was using at this point in time. So it's very special for me to look back into and see my old notes and my old writings over it. But it's in Ephesians chapter 3. And we'll start off in verse 7. We're going to go just a couple of verses. Now, this is the Message version, so it might read a little bit different depending on what Bible you have. But I love the way that the Message version reads these verses. It's beautiful and relatable, and man, it just made such an impact on my heart. So this is what it says. It says, "This is my life work, helping people understand and respond to this message. It came, this was the big part for me. It came as a sheer gift to me, a real surprise, God handling all the details. When it came to presenting the message to people who had no background in God's way, I was the least qualified of any of the available Christians. God saw to it that I was equipped." I love that. God saw to it that I was equipped. But you can be sure that it had nothing to do with my natural abilities. If there is ever a verse in the Bible that I had related to more in my life, it was this one at this moment. And man, I related to that in so many steps along the way of my journey with God, of going out and adventuring with Him. And it can be scary and frightening and bring up all the insecurities and all the emotions inside of us. But when we step out and we say yes, and we cling to this verse and we say, God, if you are leading me, I will follow, and I will not let my own feelings of feeling inadequate or feeling unequipped or unqualified to hinder what you want me to bring forth. If we will just say yes, He will be faithful to see that we are equipped. I was well aware at this point in my journey with God, I was well aware that I was the least qualified in the room to be leading prayer. And yet for some reason, they asked me because they saw a gift on my life that I had not yet seen. And they asked me to lead prayer. And I felt so unqualified. But I remember reading this verse and saying, God, I will do it with a shaky voice. I will do it with a shaky hands. But your promise to me is that you will equip me and you will give me the wisdom that I need to be able to say yes to this call. And that is exactly what He did and what He has done up until every single day of my life. And I know that what He will do for me, He will do for you. I am nobody special, nobody important, but I just have said yes over and over again with shaking hands and with a shaking voice to whatever it is that God is leading me in. And I've seen Him be faithful time and time and time again. And so I know that He will do that same thing for you.